Welcome to my Asshole Podcast. Let's get into it. Welcome to my Asshole Podcast. It is Thursday. You know what we got for Thursday? We got King of Wrath. Oh, baby. Chapters 21 and 22. Excited to get back into this book. I know that you guys are. My goodness. Honestly, this book has been pretty good. It hasn't really been one of my favorites, but it has been really good. I am excited to get through this one. We do have some exciting books coming up as well. So, you know, we're running 2 books right now. You know what I mean? We're still doing Lights Out. We're almost done with Lights Out. Lights Out is almost done. I don't know if I'm going to stay doing books on Sunday. I don't know. You guys might like that. You guys might not. I don't know. You guys definitely have to let me know down in the comments if you enjoy having the books on Sunday or if you want them to go back to regular episodes. Definitely let me know, because if you guys do enjoy that, I might just keep doing that, you know what I mean, and then we can kind of do 2 books at the same time. I've been enjoying it just because it's like I can kind of, you know, I don't necessarily have to do the books on the live streams. I can kind of just move that over to Sunday and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. You guys let me know, and we'll see what's going on. And yeah. So, without further ado, let's get in on today's episode. Today's thread for today is, what's the worst thing you've done during a breakup? All right. So, what's the worst thing you've done during a breakup? Moved out while he was on a 2-day work trip and took every piece of furniture. It was all mine. All of my pots and pans and dishes and bathroom stuff. I left his body wash, a ratty towel, and that was his, and his broken recliner. Now, why would that be the worst thing? You know, like, don't get me wrong. If you're breaking up with somebody, I mean, yeah, take all your shit. You know what I mean? Let's be honest. You know, take all your shit. Look, I get it. Most of the shit it was yours, and, you know, that kind of leaves him with damn near nothing. But, I mean, if you're breaking up with the guy, it only seems fair. You know what I mean? If I'm in a with it, like, you know, I don't know why this would be here, you know. And then she goes on to say, he cheated on me with one of our employees. He wiped out the company bank account and disappeared one weekend, and I watched the money disappear. It was supposed to go to payroll, to a $200 dinner and a hotel and a jewelry store. Then I found out he was using drugs. That's crazy. Yeah, I don't think you belong in this thread. If I'm being honest with you, that's crazy. What's the worst thing you've done during a breakup? Cry and begging. The begging part, never again. Yeah. Ooh. Facts. You should never, and I mean ever, beg somebody to be with you, man. You know what I mean? Like, that's probably just the worst thing you can do. That it's just never worth, like, begging to be with somebody, if I'm being honest. Look, I get it. I understand, you know, being absolutely in love with somebody and wanting to be with them. And, you know, you talk about all this, like, oh, we're going to get married and spend the rest of our lives together and all this kind of stuff. And I get it. But sometimes it's just best to accept it and move on, man. You know, damn. What's the worst thing you've done during a breakup? Got punched by her while she was holding keys. Ooh. Oh, damn. What did you do to get punched, my guy? You know what I mean? I'm just saying that as a way of just like, why would she go to the lengths of, like, literally hitting you with keys in her hands? Like, bruh, you know, goddamn. Better call 911 on her, bitch ass. Like, yeah, bitch out here throwing haymakers. God damn. All right, what's the worst thing you've done during a breakup? I watched Starship Troopers every day for like 60 straight days after getting dumped once. I mean, I still love the movie, but that's like 120 hours I'm not getting back. Yeah, bro. Bro, we've talked about this multiple times on the show. Like, if you get dumped and you're sad, bro, you need to put your time into something, whether it's going to the gym, whether it's a hobby, whether, it's getting into a side job, or just putting more hours into work. Be productive. You know what I mean? Like, that's probably been one of the best things that I've ever done after a breakup, is be productive on something. Because honestly, when you do that, once you get over the sadness and all that kind of stuff and the missing the relationship and everything, honestly, you come out as like so much better of a person. You know what I mean? Whether it's you got into the gym and, improved your physique, whether you put more hours into work and made more money, or, you put more time into a hobby and, possibly turned it into, a little side gig for you, a little something like this or that, whatever it may be for you. It's like, dude, you got to be productive after a relationship. And, man, you can't just sit there and just be sulking and crying and whining and all that. Nah, man, because it's not going to change anything. And like he said, that was 120 plus hours he's not going to get back. It's like, dude, that could have been 120 plus hours you could have put into literally anything else. Anything productive. Like, dude, oh yeah, definitely the worst thing. All right, what's the worst thing you have done during a breakup? Harming myself wasn't the best choice, but I had my reasons. None good though. None good, bro. You know what I mean? There is never any good reason to harm yourself, especially after a breakup. No girl is worth that. You know what I mean? Like, no girl is worth hurting yourself over, bro. You know what I mean? They're just not worth that. Dudes gotta start realizing that girls ain't that special, man. They're just not. They're not that special. You'll find another one. A lot of dudes be sitting there, I'll never find a girl like her. Yeah, you will. Yeah, you will. And if I'm being honest with you, why would you want to find a girl like her? You know what I mean? Bitch dumped you for one. And then for two, the relationship didn't work. Majority of the time, if the dude is happy and everything's chilling and the girl breaks up with the dude just over nothing, a lot of times you don't want to be with that kind of girl anyway. It's like, dude. So if I'm being honest with you, man, like, there's never any good reason to hurt yourself over a girl, man. And there's just no good reason. That's craziness. Oh, that's terrible. All right. What's the worst thing you've done during a breakup? Burned him. Just kidding. We didn't break up. He died and he wanted to be cremated, but the amount of people that refer to him as my ex is surprising, or that he broke up with me, took his life. It's a curious thing how people come up with those conclusions. That's kind of crazy. Oh, yeah, like, why? I mean, I understand, the whole, like, ex thing. Like, obviously he's not an ex. You guys didn't break up in the normal means of breaking up, so I understand that one. But what was it, a thing where he never really mentioned wanting to be cremated and then you did it? Is that what's going on here? I feel like a lot of y'all are missing the assignment of the thread, if I'm being honest with you. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like a lot of y'all motherfuckers are missing the assignment, so it's like, but alright, hey. What's the worst thing you've done during a breakup? Dropped her off at her house. She said, call me later if you want to make me feel better. Never spoke with her again. Hey, facts. I would say that's probably the best thing you did after a breakup. Like, bitch, who are you? Because, dude, it's one thing. Like, I guarantee you this situation was a thing where she wanted something, or wanted to do something, or, wanted something in general. He didn't give it to her, made her upset. And so then she felt like, oh, you have to make it up to me. Nah, bruh, get the fuck out of here, man. Hey, that was probably the best thing you could have ever done. You know what I mean? I guarantee you she was one of those girls that was just like, just honestly just annoying. Let's be honest here. Just obviously annoying. You know, she doesn't get her way, and so she feels like, oh, you have to do this and you have to do that. Nah, bro. I don't got to do nothing but never talk to you again. You know what I mean? I'm being straight with you, bro. I guarantee you she was probably one of those insufferable girls, and he finally realized, you know, what all his friends were probably telling him, because we all have that one friend who has an insufferable partner, and we're just like, why are you with them still? You know what I mean? And then they finally wake up and you're like, oh, about time. Welcome. You know what I mean? Welcome to, you know, the sane side of the world. Like, Jesus, man. What's the worst thing you've done during a breakup? Camped outside of their apartment to see if they would bring somebody home from the bar, and they did, and that's a wrap, bro. Bro, come on, man. What are you doing? Like, my guy, you camped out in front of her apartment to see if she'd bring, like, bro. And I guarantee you this was a thing where you already knew she was doing this dumb shit. You already knew this is what type of time she was on and what she was doing. You just, for some odd reason, felt like I need to go above and beyond to fucking see her with another dude. Like, I get it. Some people, you know, they got to get burned by the stove in order for it to actually hurt. And I get that. But, oh, man, sometimes the fact that you had to camp out in front of her apartment just to know what you are, or to confirm what you already know, is crazy to me. Like, bro, you already know she on this type of time. You already know she doing the bullshit. Like, did you really need to, like, see it with your own two eyes? Oh my God, man, that's crazy, bro. That is absolutely crazy. All right, what's the worst thing you've done during a breakup? I slept with her sister. Yo. Look, I will never, and I mean ever, understand how people patent that. How dudes be patenting that. Like, me, there's no way I could have left my ex and then, like, hooked up with her sister. Because the sister would have just been like, no, you guys were dating each other. Unless, for some odd reason, the sister, you know what I mean, wanted to get with you the entire time. Then, all right, that's kind of a different story. But still, it's just like, how do you patent that? You know, how do you convince the sister, like, yeah, I know I was dating your sister and all, but, like, yeah, you know, I want to be with you. And it's just like, what? I will never understand, bro, how they patent that shit. You know what I mean? I'm just saying. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying, how do they talk the sister into being down for that? You know what I mean? Crazy. Oh, man. All right. What's the worst thing you've done during a breakup? I found out he cheated. I broke it off. Then I slept with his twin brother. All right, man. All right. It's not just dudes doing it. It's the women's too, man. It's the and then, like it said, like, okay, with a dude, I kind of understand a little bit, you know what I mean? Because it's just kind of like, for the dude, I guarantee you the twin brother kind of did it just to be like, see, I knew you were a whore. You know what I mean? Like, let's be honest here. That's kind of the reason why he did it. Let's be honest here. And I guarantee you they were laughing at your dumb ass, you know what I mean, as you were leaving. Like, you got fucked by both of us and you a hoe. You're like, come on, you're not really winning here. And, you know, I would argue dude who is smashing the sister of X is kind of winning a little more because he got both y'all, if I'm being straight with you. But you smashing the twin brother, like, if I'm being honest with you, that's kind of an L. Alright, that's kind of an L. I guarantee you fit the thread perfectly. That is probably the worst thing you could have done after a breakup, because yeah, that was an L. Now both of them are like, we knew she was a hoe. Yeah, we both got a piece of that. Like, you know what I mean? They just laughing at you, bro. Let's be honest here. What's the worst thing you've done during a breakup? Ghosted her. To be honest, she had the nerve to still try to control who I could be friends with, see, or date. She flipped out and unfriended me when a girl she hated slept with me and posted pictures of us together. Like, bro, we're broken up. So I'm gonna fuck who I want. You know what I mean? And guess what? Yo, ops is just, they ripe for the picking. You know what I mean? Like, bro, I can't stand when somebody who I've already broken up with or I don't talk to no more is trying to dictate things in my life. Like, bitch, I don't owe you nothing. What do you mean? I owe you absolutely nothing. You know what I mean? And then it's crazy because there's been times where, like, I've gone out on a few dates with girls and, we're talking and whatever. And then I kind of realize, you know what? This girl ain't the one for me. Like, I'm good. And then out of nowhere, she'll see me. Like, I obviously haven't talked to her in a couple weeks to a month, whatever it may be, and then she's sitting there messaging me talking about, oh, why are you talking to this person? Oh, why are you going out with this person? Bitch, you realize we haven't talked in months? Like, have you not gotten the hints? Hello? Like, obviously, look, I get it, ghosting is wrong, but the only reason I do it is because I be looking at it like, girls do it. So what the fuck? I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care. And then it's one of those things where it's like, if you wanted to know what was going on or why I'm not texting you, you could have just texted me, but you didn't. So it's like, and I'm not going to go out of my way to text you. The fuck are we talking about here? You know what I mean? And it's one of those things where, like, nowadays, I kind of date like women. I ain't going to lie to you. The moment I see something I don't really like or something, I'm just like, this girl's not going to be the one. I'm gone instantly. Because a lot of times, when I have, in my experience of dating women, the moment they find something that they don't like about me, or they're just like, he's just not really the guy I want to be with or whatever, boom, they ghost. I just never hear from them. So I'm just like, okay, cool. That seems to be what we're doing now. I'm not about to sit here and waste my time and explain to you why I got to do this and that. Nah, bro. Nah, I'm good. I'm just going to stop texting you. Now, if you text me and you ask me, oh, why haven't we talked a long time? Oh, because of this, and that. But if you're not going to, put in the effort to text me back or whatever, cool. It is what it is, man. That's what we're doing. Like, I don't care to fucking change the dating scene. Nah, man. Fuck all that bullshit. I'm going to just get with the program and move just like everybody else. If ghosting is what we're doing, that's what we're doing, man. Dating scene is cooked. I get it. But I'm not going to sit here and try to advocate for changing it. Oh, men and women should talk to each other. Nah, man. Fuck all that bullshit. You know what I mean? Fuck all that bullshit because it's not going to change. People are not going to just magically wake up one day and be like, oh my God, women's standards are too high. And oh my God, guys are, not stepping up to the fucking plate. Like, we know that these are the things that are wrong with the dating scene, but we don't change it. You know what I mean? Women are not going to lower their standards. Dudes are not going to step up to the plate. It just is what it is, bro. You know what I mean? Like, you might as well just get with the fucking norm and try to find somebody who fits where you want to be. And look, if you don't find nobody, you don't fucking find anybody. Hey, bro, I just think the dating scene's totally and absolutely cooked. And that's why a lot of times I just look at it like, fuck it, man. I'm going to get with the new norm, and that's that. Yeah, I mean, like a lot of my friends and a lot of people I know, they try to fight me on that, and they're like, "Oh, that's not the way you should go about it," and "Oh, that's not this and that," and it's just like, dude, you either start flowing with the river or you just get stuck, man. You get left behind. It is what it is. Like, that's just dating nowadays. Nobody is changing shit, and it is what it is. Like, you either get with it or you don't. Like I said, a lot of people. I would argue everybody, if I'm being straight with you, I would argue everybody knows the problems of dating and what needs to be done to fix it, but nobody's doing anything to fix it. You know what I mean? Like, and I'd argue why. You know what I mean? Like, I'd argue why. Sure, you could be that one person, but again, all you're going to be doing is handicapping yourself. If I'm being straight with you, man. So yeah, I fully get why, he looked at it like, yeah, I ghosted her because, bro, for what? Why am I going to sit here and explain myself to her? Like, if the roles were reversed, she would ghost me. It just is what it is, man. Like, I don't inherently think ghosting is necessarily a bad thing just because at this point it's kind of just a dating norm. And a lot of people don't know that they're getting ghosted. And it's like, bro, if you haven't heard from that person, and for me, I look at it like I'm never going to double text. I think that's retarded. If you're double texting somebody, then obviously you're trying too hard and that other person just doesn't like you. Let's be real here, man. If that person, I don't care if it's guy or girl, if that person is actually, interested in you and putting time in you, you're never going to have to double text. If I text the girl and she doesn't text me the entire day, I'm not texting you back. Now, if next day you text me back, I might, entertain it. I might not, you know what I mean? Because it's one of those things where I already understand that, you were obviously texting the person that you want to be texting, and then, it's the next day. That person's not really texting you at the moment, so you decide to respond to me. I already know the game. I already know what's going on. So a lot of times, I'll entertain it to see where it goes. But if it's one of those things where it's like, we're texting throughout the day and then it stops, then I'm like, all right, cool. Next time you text me, cut off. It just is what it is. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of times you kind of just got to pick up on these things and understand that, the best option is to ghost. You know what I mean? Like, that's just the way it goes sometimes. And guys and girls do it. I'm not sitting here saying only girls do it or only guys do it. No, it's both of us. But I think you kind of got to understand when it is a good time to ghost and then when you are being ghosted, and just let it be what it's gonna be. You know what I mean? Don't try to double and triple text and all that bullshit. Nah, because odds are the person is ghosting you for a reason. You know what I mean? Like, come on, bro. Yeah, I don't. All right. Let's see. What's the worst thing you've done during a breakup? Pulled up pics of her mom and jacked it. Yo, hold up, man. You beating your meat to her mom? Okay, look, I guarantee you he was doing this during the relationship. I guarantee you he was doing this during the relationship. This was not just something you were doing. This is not something you were just doing after the relationship. You were doing this during the relationship. And I guarantee you she probably caught your dumb ass or saw the pictures of her mom on your phone and was just like, what the fuck is this? And that's probably why she broke up with your weird ass. I guarantee you that's why she broke up with you. You fucking weirdo. Oh my God. All right, I'm going to do this last one and then we'll get into announcements and we'll get into the book. What's the worst thing you've done during a breakup? I rebounded hard and hooked up with about a dozen girls that summer. I mean, I wouldn't say that that's the worst thing you could do. Probably for her it's the worst thing, but hey, for you that's a W, man. Shit. You was like, bitch, I don't need you. Because, I mean, let's just be honest here. And look, I understand a lot of people look at the double standard, with the whole thing of like, oh, why can't a girl go out and do that, but a guy goes out and does that and it's a W? Because for a guy to be able to do that, well, dude's probably doing something right. He's a Chad, you know what I mean? He's got shit going on for him. But for a girl, she ain't got to do shit to do it. You know what I mean? So it's like, if it's easy for you, it's not respected. If it's hard to do, it's respected. And that's just a double standard that you guys are just going to have to deal with. Sorry. It is what it is. You can be mad at that double standard all you want, but it's there. It's just, it is what it is. It's just like the double standard. It's like women can go out and, get into clubs for free, get free drinks and all that kind of stuff. Dudes can't do that, but it's a double standard. It is what it is. So, hey, yeah, I mean, yell at me all you want in the comments. Let me know what you think about this thread. You guys can yell at me all you want. I know you guys love doing that. But some people agree with me. Some people are like, I like what he's saying, but it's facts. So, it is what it is. But we'll hop into announcements. We'll get right on into the book. All right. So, patreon.com/Am I the Asshole Podcast. Get an exclusive episode every single Friday. So as we get able to send in your scenario to be featured on the Tuesday and Sunday show. Audio listeners, if you want to get a part of the Spotify, but you don't really want to listen to the episodes on Spotify, on Patreon, don't worry, I got y'all. All of the Patreon episodes, as long as you are a 7-day free trial member or a full paid member, then you can listen to all the episodes, all 110 plus episodes on Spotify, all waiting there for you. So that is a big W, big plus. Audio listeners, thank you guys so much for all the support. You guys are the GOATs, coming out every week, downloading the episodes as well as rating us 5 stars, all that good stuff. I appreciate that so very much. If you guys want to help out even more, go ahead and follow us on Instagram, TikTok, as well as subscribing on YouTube. All of that is free and it helps out tremendously. All right. If you guys have been loving the live streams we've been doing or anything like that, definitely come out and hang out with us. I try to live stream every Friday, Sunday, and Monday. I have been trying to live stream every day. On Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I try to stream in the mornings, and then on Friday, Sunday, and Monday, I'll stream later on, like the afternoon to the night. It's something new I'm trying. Hopefully it works out. Hopefully it does. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, that's what we're doing. Love you guys all. Let's get right on into the book. I believe we have chapters, I believe it's 20 and 21. I could be wrong about that, but we'll get into it right now. All right.
Chapter 21. Vivian. After Thanksgiving, the year passed in the blink of an eye. I'd like to say my first holiday season as an engaged woman was special or memorable, but it was more stressful than anything else. The weeks between Black Friday and New Year's Eve were packed with work, social obligations, and endless questions about my upcoming wedding. Dante and I stayed overnight at my parents' house for Christmas, and it was just as awkward as I'd feared. "If Mom fusses any more over him, people will think she's the one marrying him," my sister Agnes whispered as our mother plied Dante with another drink. We only called her Mom to each other, and never to her face. "Imagine Father negotiating that arrangement," I whispered back. We burst into giggles. We were in the living room after our Christmas Eve dinner, my mother and Dante by the fireplace, my sister and me on the couch, and my father and Gunnar, Agnes's husband, on the other couch by the bar. I didn't see Agnes much now that she lived in Eldora, but whenever we were together, we reverted to being teenagers again.
"Girls, want to share what's so funny?"
Our father asked pointedly, looking up from his conversation with Gunnar. Tall, blonde, and blue-eyed, Gunnar was my sister's polar opposite looks-wise, but they shared a similar sense of humor and easygoing manner. He watched, his expression amused, as my sister and I sobered. "Nothing's funny," we said in unison. My father shook his head with an exasperated expression.
"Vivian, put your jacket back on,"
he said.
"It's freezing. You'll get sick."
"It's not that cold," I protested. "The fireplace is on." But I put the jacket on anyway. Besides marriage, my parents were forever fussing at me about wearing enough layers and drinking enough soup. It was one of the few holdovers from our pre-wealth days. When I looked over at Dante, I found him watching us with narrowed eyes. I raised an eyebrow, and he gave a small shake of his head. I had no clue what that meant, but my curiosity over his reaction melted in the whirlwind of Christmas morning, where Gunnar announced he bought Agnes another pony for their country manor, and the legacy ball and wedding planning that dominated the weeks after New Year's. Before I knew it, it was mid-January, and my anxiety had peaked to an all-time high. T-minus 4 months until the ball. T-minus 7 months until the wedding. God help me. "You need a spa retreat," Isabella said. "Nothing restores the body like a weekend in the desert filled with deep tissue massages and yoga." "You hate yoga. and you once left a retreat early because it was too boring and woo-woo. For me, not for you. Isabella lay stomach down on my office couch, her feet kicked up in the air as she scribbled in her notebook. Occasionally, aka every 2 minutes, she'd stop to sip her soda or nibble on a piece of dark chocolate. It was lunchtime, but she said she wasn't that hungry, and I hadn't had a chance to order takeout. You should take Dante with you. It'll be a couple's getaway. I looked up from the Legacy Ball seating chart. Aren't you supposed to be writing the next great thriller instead of providing unsolicited advice on my love life? Sometimes, Isabella used my office as her office because the silence in her apartment was too loud, which I was fine with as long as she didn't distract me while I was working. I'm drawing inspiration from real life. Perhaps I can write about an arranged marriage gone terribly wrong. The wife murders her husband after having a kinky affair with her sexy doorman. Or not, she added hastily when I glared at her. But you have to admit, sex and murder go hand in hand. Only to you. I moved the sticky notes with Dominic and Alessandra Davenport's names to the table with Kai. Much better. The last setup had Dominic sitting next to his biggest rival. Should I worry about your exes? Only the ones that pissed me off. That's all of them. Is it? Isabella was the picture of innocence. Oops. A smile pulled on my lips. Her dating history was a string of red flags encompassing race car drivers, photographers, models, and in one truly spectacular lapse of judgment, an aspiring poet with a Shakespeare tattoo and a penchant for spouting lines from Romeo and Juliet during sex. The past year had been her longest break from men since I met her. She deserved it. Dealing with men was exhausting. Case in point, my relationship with Dante. Trying to figure out where we stood was like trying to find my footing on a slab of particle board in the middle of the ocean. Isabella and I lapsed into silence again, but my mind kept straying toward a certain dark-haired Italian. We'd kissed, and Dante had given me not one, but 2 mind-blowing orgasms, only to shut down immediately after. Nothing beat the humiliation of asking him for sex only for him to leave me high and dry. At least I'd successfully, I hoped, played the entire night off as a mistake. A knock interrupted my inner turmoil. Come in. Shannon entered holding an extravagant bouquet of red roses. There must have been at least 2 dozen of them slotted into a slim crystal vase, and their scent instantly blanketed the room with cloying sweetness. Isabella sat up, her eyes gleaming like a Page 6 reporter who'd stumbled on a juicy society secret. These just came for you, Shannon said with a knowing smile. Where do you want me to put them? My heart leapt in my throat. My desk is fine. Thank you. Oh my God! Isabella beelined to my desk the second the door closed. These roses must have cost hundreds of dollars. What's the occasion? I have no idea, I admitted. Surprise and pleasure warred for dominance in my chest. Dante had never sent me flowers before. Our relationship had smoothed into one of civil cohabitation and the occasional shared late-night snack since Bali, but we still weren't a normal couple by any means. I couldn't imagine why he'd be sending me roses now. It wasn't a holiday, anniversary, or anyone's birthday. Just because flowers. The best kind. Isabella skimmed her fingers over a velvety petal. Who knew Dante Russo was such a romantic? The pleasure edged out the surprise. I searched the extravagant blooms until I found a tiny card with my name written on the front. I flipped it over, and my stomach plummeted. It's not from Dante. Then who's it? Oh! Isabella's eyes widened when I showed her the note.
Vivian, happy belated New Year. I thought of you at midnight, but didn't have the guts to send you this until now. Hope you're doing well. Love, Heath. P.S. I'm here if you ever change your mind.
A cocktail of disappointment, unease, and confusion brewed in my stomach. Save for a Merry Christmas text, I hadn't talked to Heath since the flea market. His sending me flowers made even less sense than Dante sending them. Love Heath. Isabella wrinkled her nose. First he shows up in New York and coincidentally runs into you. Now this. Man needs to move on. You've been broken up for years, and you—
Who's Heath?
The black velvet voice wrenched my gaze to the entrance. Charcoal suit, broad shoulders, expression as dark as his voice. My pulse skittered into overdrive. Dante stood in the doorway, brown paper bag in hand, his eyes glinting like shards of volcanic glass against the soft roses. His body held dangerously still, like the calm before a storm. I slid a panicked look at Isabella, who hopped off the desk and scooped her bag up from the floor. Well, this was fun, but I gotta go, she chirped in an overly bright voice. Monty gets cranky if I don't feed him on time. Traitor, my glare screamed. Sorry, she mouthed. Good luck. I was never letting her work in my office again. She brushed past Dante with an awkward pat on his arm, and I watched, stomach twisting, as he walked toward me and set the paper bag next to the bouquet. He flipped the note and read it wordlessly, his jaw ticking in rhythm with each passing second. It's a New Year's gift, I said when the silence became too oppressive to bear. Like the champagne glasses my mom bought us. Tick, tick, tick. I hadn't cheated on Dante or purposely sought out Heath myself. I had nothing to feel guilty about. Still, my nerves rattled like wind chimes in a tornado.
These aren't champagne glasses, Miyakata.
Dante dropped the note the way one would a diseased carcass.
Nor are they from your mother, which brings me back to my question. Who is Heath?
I inhaled a soft breath for courage. My ex-boyfriend. Dante's eyes sparked.
Your ex-boyfriend?
Yes. I didn't want to lie, and Dante could probably find out who Heath was with the snap of a finger anyway.
Why is your ex-boyfriend sending you roses and love notes?
The velvety tone didn't change, but the undercurrent of danger rippled closer to the surface. It's not a love note.
It damn well looks like one to me.
If Dante ground his teeth any harder, they'd crumble into dust.
What does he mean by change your mind?
I told him about our engagement a few months ago. If I was telling the truth, I might as well tell the whole truth. He showed up in New York and implied he'd be open to giving our relationship another shot. I declined. He left. The end. Dante's eyes were near black now.
Obviously not the end, given this lovely bouquet he sent you.
It's just flowers. I understood why he was upset, but he was making it into something bigger than it was. They're harmless.
Some fucker is sending you flowers and you want to tell me it's harmless?
He picked up the card again.
Thought of you at midnight. Hope you're doing well. Love, Heath.
Sarcasm weighed heavy on the recitation.
It doesn't take a genius to know what he was doing while he was thinking of you at midnight.
Frustration overrode my misplaced guilt. I can't control what other people do or say. I told him I wasn't interested in getting back together, and I'll tell him again if he persists. What do you want me to do? Get a restraining order against him?
Now that's an excellent idea.
That's a ridiculous idea.
Do you still love him?
The question came from so out of left field I could only gape at him until I rustled up the only word I could find. What?
Do you still love him?
The ticking jaw returned with vengeance. We broke up years ago.
That doesn't answer my question.
I shifted beneath Dante's heavy stare. Did I still love Heath? I cared for him, and I missed the easy rapport we had. Our breakup had devastated me. But I wasn't the same person I'd been when we were dating. and time had dulled my heartbreak into a distant echo of what it once was. When I thought of Heath, I thought of the comfort of being loved. I didn't necessarily think of him. But if I didn't have to marry Dante, and I could go back to Heath without alienating my parents, would I do it? My head pounded with indecision. "It doesn't matter," I finally said. "I'm engaged to you, and I'm not getting back together with Heath." My answer only stoked the fire in Dante's eyes.
I won't have my fiancé pining away after another man before, during, or after the wedding.
Why does it matter? My frustration bubbled over into a rush of words. You'll get your market access and business deal either way. Stop pretending like this is a normal engagement. It's not. We may have kissed and gotten more intimate, but we are not a love match. You've told me that time and again. You have me, but you don't get to dictate how I feel or who I think about. That is not part of the agreement. Silence reigned in the aftermath of my rant, so thick I tasted it in the back of my throat. Dante and I stared at each other, the air crackling like a frayed electric wire between us. One wrong move, and it'll burn me alive. I braced myself for an explosion or yelling or some kind of veiled threat. Instead, after seconds that felt like hours, he turned and walked out without a word. The door shut behind him, and I slumped against my desk, suddenly exhausted. I pressed the heels of my hands against my eyes, my throat tight. Every time we made progress, we took 2 steps back. One minute, I thought Dante might be developing feelings for me. The next, he shut me out like an unwanted stepchild in the cold. The caveman in Geico's old commercials communicated better than him. What had he been doing here anyway? Dante's office was a few blocks from mine, but he'd never visited me at work before. My eyes snagged on the paper bag he'd left behind. After a moment's hesitation, I opened it, and my stomach dipped in the strangest way. Sitting at the bottom of the bag, nestled between paper-wrapped cutlery and a plethora of sauces, were 2 takeout boxes from my favorite sushi restaurant. Chapter 22. Vivian. Pay attention, Micheta, or you'll chop your finger off. Greta clucked in disapproval. No one wants human parts in their dinner. Sorry, I murmured. I tried to rein in my wandering thoughts and refocus on the task at hand. If my mother could see me now, mincing garlic in an old cashmere sweater and jeans, she'd have a coronary. Laos did not toil away in the kitchen or wear last season's clothes, but I enjoyed the mindless comfort of cooking. I'd invited Isabella and Sloane over for dinner, and we'd decided a girls' cooking night would be more fun than a formal sit-down. We were right. The kitchen smelled like the back of a rustic Tuscan restaurant. Tomato sauce bubbled on the stove, bowls of herbs and seasoning lined the counters, and the sparkling tartness of fresh lemons added an extra zing to the mouth-watering aromas. At the other end of the kitchen, Isabella trimmed green beans while Sloane fixed us her signature martinis. Greta, who refused to leave us unsupervised, fluttered around the room, checking on a dozen different things and scolding us when we didn't prep the food properly. It felt cozy and normal, like a real home. So why did I feel so off-kilter? Maybe because you and Dante are still on the outs, a voice in my head taunted. We'd attended obligatory social events, celebrated Valentine's Day at Per Se, and attended a Lunar New Year performance at the Lincoln Center. But our relationship at home had been cold and distant since Dante's office visit. I shouldn't be surprised. Dante withdrew any time things didn't go his way, and I was too annoyed by his overreaction to the flowers to seek him out. So here we were, back in a stalemate. I chopped the garlic with more force than necessary. Here. Sloane appeared next to me and slid an apple martini onto the counter. "For when you're done with the knives. You look like you need it." I mustered a small smile. "Thanks." Sloane's platinum hair was twisted in its signature bun, but she'd removed her jacket and unglued her phone from her hand. In her world, she might as well be dancing barefoot on a bar top in Ibiza. "Where's your dashing husband-to-be?" Isabella asked. "Still sulking about the flowers?" She was determined to prove Dante and I would turn into a true love match by the wedding and brought him up every chance she got. I suspected she had a bet going with Sloane to see who would be right, since Sloane's opinion of love hovered somewhere between her appreciation for New York subway rats and people who wore sandals with socks. "He's not sulking," I said, well aware of Greta's eagle-eyed presence. "He's busy." He'd been busy for 3 weeks. If there was one thing Dante excelled at, it was avoiding hard conversations. "He's sulking," Isabella, Greta, and Sloane said in unison. "Trust me, I raised Dante since he was in diapers." Greta checked on the sauce. "You'll never meet a more stubborn, hard-headed man." Don't I believe it? But she stirred the pot with a wooden spoon. "He also has a big heart, even if he doesn't show it. He is not good with words. His grandfather, may he rest in peace, was a good businessman, but not a good communicator. He passed those traits down to the boys." A lump formed in my throat. That was exactly why I hadn't given up on Dante yet. He was a terrible communicator, and his hot and cold attitude made me want to tear my hair out. But underneath it all, there was someone worth waiting for. "Are you talking him up because he installed a TV in the kitchen for you?" I asked lightly. Greta's eyes gleamed. "When someone offers you bribery, it's rude not to take it." Laughter floated through the kitchen, but it died a quick death when Dante and Kai appeared in the doorway. I straightened, my pulse beating in my throat. Isabella stopped trimming her green beans while Sloane sipped her drink, her cool gaze taking in the newcomers like they were the ones entering her house. "Dante, I didn't know you would be home for dinner." Greta wiped her hands on a dish towel. "The food's almost ready. I'll add 2 more plates to the table."
No need. We only stopped by to pick up some documents. We'll be dining at Valhalla tonight.
Dante's attention didn't stray from Greta.
I'm also flying to D.C. for business tomorrow. I'll be gone for a week.
"I see." Greta glanced at me. I refocused on my garlic. Dante's announcement was clearly for my benefit, but if he wasn't mature enough to address me directly like an adult, I wouldn't give him the satisfaction of my acknowledgement. Next to him, Kai's gaze skimmed over me and Sloane to Isabella, who perched on the stool closest to the entrance. Her leather skirt, dangly earrings, and stiletto boots were the polar opposite of his suit, glasses, and silk handkerchief tucked in his breast pocket. She arched an eyebrow at his scrutiny before plucking a cherry tomato from the bowl next to her and popping it in her mouth. She didn't look away from him, making the otherwise innocent movement almost sexual. Kai watched her show with the bland expression of someone waiting in line at the post office. Next to him, Dante remained in the doorway, silent and unmoving. The clock ticked toward the half-hour. Sauces bubbled and hissed on the stove, and my knife chopped a steady rhythm against the cutting board. The tension was almost as thick as Greta's signature fettuccine. Greta cleared her throat. "Well, have a safe flight to D.C. Bring back a souvenir or 2, I'm sure people in the household will appreciate it." She slid another glance in my direction. "Smooth, Greta."
I'll keep that in mind.
Dante said stiffly.
Enjoy dinner.
He left without sparing a glance at me.
Ladies?
Kai dipped his head before following him. Their exit severed the tension holding us hostage. I dropped my knife, and Greta muttered something under her breath while she removed the meat from the oven. "I need some water." Isabella slid off her stool and headed to the fridge, her cheeks pink. I stared at the cutting board, trying to sort through my mess of emotions. I should have been used to Dante's business trips by now, but the news of his upcoming travels stung more than it should have. Even if we didn't talk, his presence was a warm reassurance in the apartment. It was always a little colder when he wasn't home.
Chapter 23. Dante. I didn't need to visit D.C. I could have conducted my business there virtually, but I welcomed the break from the strained atmosphere at home. I also took the opportunity to check in on Christian, whom I'd tasked with a new project on top of the Francis situation. He lounged on the couch opposite me, his eyes cool. We were in the library of his downtown penthouse, and we'd spent the past hour discussing Valhalla, business, and security. But judging by his expression, he was still pissed about what happened in the lobby earlier. I'd merely kissed the hand of one of his neighbors, one whom he seemed to have a special interest in. It wasn't every day I saw Christian Harper agonize over a woman, and I'd be damned if I let it slide without fucking with him. He'd get over it. They weren't even dating. Heath Arnett, CEO of a cloud storage startup that's going public at the end of this year, he said now. He lifted an eyebrow. Since when do you care about cloud storage? The mention of Heath's name wiped away my amusement at Christian's response to a simple hand kiss. I thought about you at midnight, love Heath. Something dark and unwanted snaked through my chest. Don't play dumb. I tossed back the rest of my drink and set the crystal tumbler on a nearby side table. Did you find anything good? I'd asked Christian to look into Heath's background. It had taken him no time to figure out Heath's full name as well as everything about the man's work, family, and hobbies. Standard middle-class American upbringing. Undergrad at Columbia, where Heath met Vivian. A rising career as a software developer before he founded a startup that was currently going gangbusters. But that was the shiny, top-level stuff. I wanted the seedy underbelly. Christian smiled. Few things animated him more than ripping the skeletons out of someone's closet. There's a chance he may have been involved in questionable activities leading to the growth of his company. Not criminal, but questionable. Enough it could severely impact the performance of their IPO. Good. Take care of it before they go public. I reached for the water next to my empty scotch, but it did nothing to soothe the burn in my blood. Of course. Christian watched me, an amused gleam creeping into his amber eyes. You never answered my earlier question. Why do you care so much about this Heath? It can't possibly be because he's Vivian's ex-boyfriend, the man she was madly in love with until her parents made her break up with him because he didn't come from Russo-level money. Christian swirled his drink in his glass. Heard he sent her roses after New Year's. Nice ones. The burn intensified. He knows Vivian is my fiancée, and he sent her flowers anyway. It's disrespectful. I hadn't told Christian about the Valhalla Club, Bali, or any of the changes in my relationship with Vivian. Handing him that information would be like handing dynamite to a destruction-minded toddler. Unfortunately, the bastard possessed an eerily accurate radar when it came to other people's weaknesses. Not that Vivian was my weakness. A knowing smile played on Christian's mouth. That's one reason. Another reason, one I'm more inclined to believe, is that you're starting to develop feelings for your lovely future wife. Lay off the whiskey, Harper. It's clouding your judgment, I said coldly. Vivian is more tolerable than I originally anticipated, but nothing's changed. I have no intention of marrying her or tying myself to the Laos. For some reason, the sentiment tasted less sweet than it had 6 months ago. Bitterness edged the words like they'd been tainted by deceit, though I'd meant what I said. I was attracted to Vivian. I'd accepted that much about myself. I even liked her. but not enough to take her father's blackmail lying down. It didn't matter anyway. Once I demolished her father's empire, she wouldn't want anything to do with me. She was too loyal to her family. Such was the cost of business. The back of my neck itched. I pushed my sleeves up, wishing it weren't so damn hot in here. Christian must have his heater on full blast. If you say so, he drawled. Don't worry, we're close. Soon you'll be rid of their entire family and you can have your house to yourself again. An odd ache gripped my chest. Looking forward to it, I said curtly. I poured myself another glass of Glenlivet, but an incoming call interrupted before I could take a sip. Edward. He never called unless there was an emergency. Did something happen to Vivian? Ice crept through my veins. I quickly excused myself and stepped into the hall. What is it? I demanded once Christian was out of earshot. Is Vivian okay?
Miss Vivian is fine,
Edward assured me.
However, there's been a
He let out a small cough.
development I thought you should be aware of.
She has a visitor. I waited impatiently for him to finish. Vivian received visitors all the time. None of them warranted a phone call unless...
From what I gathered, it's a former paramour. I believe his name is Heath.
It took a beat for the implications to sink in. Once they did, fury slipped beneath my skin like a slow creeping poison. What the fuck was Heath doing in my house? He was supposed to be in fucking California. I was going to murder Christian. He must have known Heath was in New York, and he hadn't said a damn thing about it.
Normally I wouldn't bother you with such a matter, but he was quite insistent on seeing Miss Vivian.
She agreed to let him in, but... Another delicate cough. Given his unexpected arrival, I wanted to alert you. Blood drummed in my ears, distorting Edward's voice. I was in D.C., Vivian was in New York with her ex. I made up my mind in 2 seconds. Keep an eye on them, and don't let him leave until I'm home, I ordered. I'm flying back tonight. It was an 80-minute commercial flight between the cities. My jet could make it in 50.
Yes, sir.
I hung up and re-entered the library. Part of me wanted to strangle Christian for purposely withholding information from me, but I had a more pressing issue at hand. I have to go back to New York. I grabbed my jacket off the back of the couch. There's a personal matter I need to deal with. Christian looked up from his phone and slid it into his pocket. Sorry to hear that, he said mildly. I'll walk you out. Pinpricks of anger and something else vibrated beneath my skin on our way to the foyer. Fear. The fuck was I afraid of? Heath wanted a second chance with Vivian. He wouldn't physically hurt her. I trusted Edward to manage the situation. One call from him and my home security team would have Heath wishing he'd never stepped foot east of the Rockies. But what if Vivian wanted to see him? Our relationship hadn't been the warmest since our office argument. She could have called Heath over while I was away. Heath could be convincing her to give him another chance right this minute. It shouldn't matter, considering our match was doomed from the start. But for some unknown reason, it did. Christian and I reached the front door. This personal matter, he said as I exited into the hall. Wouldn't happen to be Vivian's ex-boyfriend showing up at your house, would it? Surprise halted my steps, followed by a cold blast of fury. I turned, my glare lasering in on Christian. What the fuck did you do, Harper? I merely facilitated a reunion between your fiancé and an old friend, he said casually. Since you enjoyed fucking with me so much, I figured I'd return the favor. Oh, and Dante... His smile lacked any hint of humor. Touch Stella again, and you'll no longer have a fiancé. The door slammed in my face. Red dotted my vision until it coated the walls and floor with crimson. That fucker. Under normal circumstances, I wouldn't let his threat slide, but I didn't have time for his bullshit. I'd deal with Christian later. It took 10 minutes to reach my jet, 50 to land in New York, and another 30 to arrive at my apartment. Plenty of time for my fury to reach a full boil. I should have handled the Heath situation myself instead of delegating to Christian. He was good at his job, but he weaponized any and all information at his disposal. Then there was fucking Heath. I hadn't received any urgent updates from Edward, but the thought of him being in such close proximity to Vivian for almost 2 hours set my teeth on edge. When I reached my apartment, Edward greeted me at the door, his face carefully blank.
Good evening, sir.
Where are they? He didn't blink an eye at my curt response.
The living room?
I was gone before the last word fully left his mouth. What could Heath and Vivian have been doing all this time? What were they talking about? Had they been in contact since he sent her those roses? I stopped in the living room doorway. My eyes immediately found Vivian, who was backed against the wall next to the fireplace. Heath towered over her, his body partially obscuring her from view. Fire ignited low in my gut. I walked toward them, my steps silent against the thick carpet, my muscles coiling with each stride.
I told you. I didn't text you.
Vivian's soft exasperation drifted into my ears when I neared. Neither of them noticed my arrival.
I don't know what happened, but the message isn't from me.
You don't have to lie to me. Heath's voice needled my skin like tiny annoying wasps. I wanted to reach down his throat and yank his tongue out. You don't want to marry Dante. We both know that. You're only with him because of your parents. Look, just wait until my IPO, okay? Postpone the wedding.
I can't do that.
Exasperation edged into weariness.
I care about you, Heath. I always will. You are my first love. But I can't do that to Dante or my family.
Were? The needling voice tightened.
Heath.
I still love you. You know that. I've always loved you. If it weren't for your parents... His head lowered. Damn it, Viv, it was supposed to be us.
I know.
The thickness of her voice made my gut twist.
But it's not.
Do you love him? My gut twisted further at Vivian's long pause. You don't, Heath said. If you did, you wouldn't hesitate.
It's not that simple.
I'd heard enough. Next time you try to steal a man's fiancée, I said, my voice deadly calm despite the rage tunneling through me. Don't be stupid enough to do it in his house. Heath whipped around. Surprise flashed through his eyes, but he didn't get a chance to react before I hauled my arm back and slammed my fist into his face.
Vivian. A sickening crunch ripped the air, followed by a pained howl. Blood spurted from Heath's nose, and the scent of copper drenched my surroundings, seeping beneath my skin and rendering me immobile. I could only watch, horrified, as Dante hauled a spluttering Heath up by the collar and pinned him against the wall. Anger carved harsh lines across Dante's face, hardening his jaw and turning his cheekbones into slashes of tension against the firelight. His eyes simmered with slow-burning fury, the type that snuck up and annihilated you before you knew it had even arrived. He'd always been intimidating, but in that moment, he looked larger than life, like the devil himself had left hell to exact his retribution.
I don't give a fuck how long you and Vivian have known each other or how long ago you dated.
Dante's soft snarl sent ice skittering down my spine.
You don't touch her. You don't talk to her. You don't even fucking think about her. If you do, I'll break every fucking bone in your body until your own mother won't recognize you. Understand?
Beads of crimson dripped from Heath's chin down his shirt.
You're out of your mind.
He spat. Despite his bravado, his pupils were the size of quarters. Fear leaked from him, almost as potent as the smell of blood.
I'll sue you for assault.
Dante's smile was terrifying in its calmness.
You can try.
He tightened his grip on Heath's shirt, his knuckles already bruised from the force of his punch. The air sharpened with fresh, impending violence, enough that it finally yanked me out of my frozen stupor. "Stop!" I found my voice right as Dante drew his arm back for another punch. "Let him go!" He didn't move. "Now!" A heavy beat passed before he released Heath, who slumped on the floor, coughing and clutching his nose. Judging by the crack earlier, it had to be broken, but I found it hard to summon sympathy after dealing with him for the past 2 hours. "This is not a school playground," I said. "You're both grown men. Act like it." My day had been shitty enough. First, someone spilled coffee all over my brand new white theory dress during my morning latte run. Then I found out a pipe had burst at the Legacy Ball's original venue. The place was flooded and would take months to repair, which meant I had 3 months to find and move all gala preparations to a new venue that would 1. Be available on such short notice, 2. Fit within my budget, and 3. Have the space and grandeur necessary to host 500 extremely discerning, extremely judgmental guests. I came home hoping to relax, only to have Heath show up at the door rambling about a text I supposedly sent him, telling him I wanted to reconcile. Now my fiancé and ex-boyfriend were at each other's throats, and there was blood dripping everywhere. Needless to say, my sympathy reserves were at an all-time low. "Heath, you should go and get your nose looked at." Every second he and Dante stayed in the same room was another opportunity for more trouble. I'd go with him to the hospital, but considering Dante's current mood, offering to leave with him would hurt more than it helped. Heath looked at me, his eyes tortured.
Viv.
A rumble of warning emanated from Dante's chest. "Go," I said. "Please." He opened his mouth as if to say something else, but Dante's death glare had him scrambling up and out of the room without another word. I waited until I heard the front door slam before I whirled on the other infuriating, migraine-inducing man in my life. "What is wrong with you? You can't just go around punching people. You probably broke his nose."
I can do whatever I want.
Dante said, the picture of remorselessness.
He deserved it.
A headache gathered behind my temples. "No, you can't. Newsflash, having money doesn't absolve you from consequences. There's a proper way of doing things that doesn't include violence. You're lucky if he doesn't sue you for assault."
I'm lucky?
Dante growled.
He's lucky I didn't break more than his nose for coming into my house and trying to wreck our engagement.
I'm not saying he's right. I'm saying there was a better way to handle the situation than opening yourself up to an assault charge. Dante had enough lawyers and money to shake such a charge off like it was nothing, but that wasn't the point. It was the principle of the matter.
He was touching you.
Dante's eyes darkened to midnight.
Did you want him to touch you?
Oh, for God's sake. You don't get to do that, I said through gritted teeth. You don't get to storm in and act like a jealous fiancé when you've been ignoring me for weeks. I tried to talk to you about Heath after the flowers. You refused and ran off to D.C. His lips thinned.
I haven't been ignoring you, and I did not run off to D.C.
You gave me the cold shoulder, avoided eye and verbal contact, and communicated in caveman grunts or via a third party at most. That's the textbook definition of ignoring. Dante stared at me, his face like granite. Frustration bubbled in my chest and rose up my throat. You open up, then you shut down. You kiss me, then you leave. We've been doing this back-and-forth dance for months, and I'm sick of it. I lifted my chin, my heart wavering beneath an onslaught of nerves. I just want to know, once and for all, is this still only business? Or is it more? A muscle flexed in Dante's jaw.
It doesn't matter. We're getting married either way.
It does matter. I'm not playing this game with you anymore. My frustration morphed into anger, turning my words into blades. If this is business, we'll treat it as such. We'll produce an heir, smile for the cameras in public, and live our lives separately in private. That's it. It wasn't the life I would have chosen, but I was in too deep to back out now. At least then, I'd know where we stand and adjust my expectations accordingly. No more overanalyzing every crumb of intimacy, searching for something that wasn't there. No more hanging on to the hopes Dante would change, and I'd be one of the lucky ones whose arranged marriage turned into love.
Live our lives separately, in private.
Dante's voice dropped to a dangerous decibel.
What the fuck does that mean?
It means exactly what it sounds like. We do what we want, discreetly, and we don't question the other about it as long as it doesn't affect our public image. My words faltered at the storm gathering in his eyes.
Are you talking about an affair, Vivian?
Goosebumps erupted in alarm over my chest and shoulders. No! And that's not the point. Answer my question. Is this business, or is this something more? He remained silent. Heath was wrong for what he tried to do, but you're upset because... Why? You're threatened? Territorial? My nails dug into my palms. I'm not a toy, Dante. You don't get to toss me aside and pick me back up only when someone else wants me.
I don't think you're a toy.
He ground out. Then why do you care? Why did you punch Heath when you were the one who told me to leave our feelings out of this? More silence. The cords of his neck visibly strained against his skin. The tension was so thick I could taste it in my throat, but I pushed forward, unwilling to let him off the hook so easily. We're only together because of a deal you made with my father. What's it to you if my ex shows back up in my life? You know the wedding would move forward either way, I said. Are you afraid I'll break the engagement? Run off with Heath and leave you looking like a fool in front of your friends? Why do you care?
I don't know!
The force of his reply stunned me into silence. Dante's granite mask cracked, revealing the torment underneath.
I don't know why I care. I just know I do, and I hate it.
Self-loathing coated his voice.
I hate the idea of you touching anyone else, or anyone else touching you. I hate that other people can make you laugh in a way I can't. I hate how I feel around you, like you're the only person that can make me lose control when I don't lose control.
Every word, every step brought him closer, until my back pressed against the wall and the heat of his body enveloped mine.
But I do.
His voice dropped, turning ragged.
With you.
My blood thundered in my ears, muffling his words until I was underwater and drowning in a sea of emotions. Shock, hope, fear, elation, uncertainty. They all mingled until they were indistinguishable from each other. I don't know isn't good enough, I whispered. Once upon a time, it would have been. But we'd passed that marker long ago. Dante's jaw tightened. This close, I could see the hints of gold in his eyes, like flecks of light in a sea of darkness.
Heath said he still loves you. Enough to go against your parents and me to be with you, but you broke up 2 years ago and he didn't do a damn thing about it until he found out you were engaged.
The darkness edged out the light.
You want to know the truth, Vivian? If I loved you as much as he claims to love you, nothing would have stopped me from keeping you.
I didn't realize until that moment how easy it was for one simple sentence to dissolve the threads holding my world together. If I loved you as much as he claims to love you, nothing would have stopped me from keeping you. If... I breathed, my throat unbearably tight. Hypothetical. The gold disappeared completely. leaving pools of midnight in its wake. A sardonic smile.
Yes, Miyakata.
Warmth brushed my lips.
Hypothetical.
My heartbeat slowed. Time suspended for a brief, agonizing moment, just long enough for our breaths to intermingle. Then a groan shattered the spell, followed by a low curse. That was the only warning I got before Dante yanked me to him and crashed his mouth down on mine.
All right. Well, that has been today's episode. Hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Let me know what you think about everything that we've gone over today in the comments. I will see you guys next time. Love you all and peace.